Is the Herdline News.
Let's start with the Dallas Cowboys, Colin. I guess something went down over spring break while I was gone, but Micah Parsons, there's some stuff happening in Dallas apparently. So Shan Sharif of 105.3 The Fan in Dallas says Micah Parsons has worn thin on people within the franchise.
I have heard from way too many people this offseason. Way too many. I'm talking about at least 4 different people that Micah has worn thin there. I've heard from way too many people. If Micah Parsons was out of there, there'd be a decent amount of people inside the Ford Center at the Star in Frisco smiling or breathing a sigh of relief. That is my hot take.
Well, listen, Jimmy Johnson traded Herschel Walker. At the time, we thought you could not win in the NFL without a great running back, and it is regarded as the greatest heist in pro football history. You could get 2 1s for Micah Parsons. As the league moves offensive, again, I'll just throw it out there. You fall in love with football players. Outside of quarterback, none are worth more than a point. If somebody gave me 2 firsts for Micah Parsons, I mean, you better start hitting on draft picks because you're going to have to pay CeeDee Lamb and Dak a fortune. And I'm not saying you have to move him. He's an edge rush. But I have watched in the NFL people fall in love with non-quarterbacks. It's not winning you Super Bowls. You win Super Bowls 2 ways in this league, with a top 6 quarterback or a quarterback in a rookie deal where you can load the franchise up. Highest paid receiver, highest paid edge rusher does not win Super Bowls. And if you're the Dallas Cowboys, isn't that the standard? Steelers have had TJ Watt for years. How's it working? Myles Garrett in Cleveland. How's it working? I'm just saying, if this is true, can you not consider it? The idea that players are untied, even top quarterbacks. If you look at Kirk Cousins' numbers over the last, go look at Kirk Cousins' number over the last 5 years. He's second to Mahomes in multiple stats. They moved off him. There's only 2 ways to win the Super Bowl. Superstar quarterback, there's 6 of them. Stafford, Mahomes, Lamar, those kind of guys. There's 6 of them. Or a quarterback on the rookie deal like Houston's doing, and you load up for about 4 years. And I know it sounds crazy. Well, TJ Watt. But best edge rushers today, Max Crosby, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett.
So if Micah Parsons says, I want to be the highest paid defense edge rusher in the league, you say, if you're Dallas, you say no?
I say, let's sit and have a meeting and talk about it. I like Micah Parsons. I think he's tremendous. But this is not the NBA or international soccer, where there is no replacing Messi. There is no replacing LeBron in his prime. There is none.
The problem is you could just say, oh, well, you need a quarterback. Okay, well, good luck finding one. And listen, they could be moving on from their coach after this year. They could move on from Dak. And then, is it an attractive job if you don't have Micah Parsons and a couple of tentpole players on that roster?
This is not Caitlin Clark at Iowa, where the TV ratings would shrink. She literally is Iowa women's basketball. This is Dak's team. This is a GM quarterback coaching league.
Yeah. I wonder how much better do the cornerbacks look on that team? Remember, Diggs had a moment. The kid Bland was exceptional. How much better do they look because Micah Parsons is in the quarterback's face on every possession?
I am not in any way trying to prove that Micah Parsons isn't great. I am saying somebody would give you 2 first-round picks for him.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's not great. But I do think Dallas has big questions to ask. Jerry loves Dak, and they have to pay CeeDee Lamb. Dak without CeeDee Lamb is a C plus B minus. So it's like if you're going to pay Dak, and Dak has a lot of leverage. If you go look at his contract, he's got all of it. No trade clauses. Then you may have to consider getting 2 first-round picks. Cowboys have never been a terrible draft team. They do draft pretty well.
So the other
So this is what's really interesting to me. The way I look at it is from a couple various angles. And I had just made a video about Micah when I was reviewing First Things First. And just saying that as a whole, it seems like teams are less likely more than ever to deal with difficult players. And that's kind of where the Cowboys are at right now. And as Colin just highlighted, is that the football has changed. And it seems like season after season, it's just becoming more and more this, where how crucial it is, to have that offense, to have that quarterback in place. And that the Micah Parsons in 2024 are no longer the leading charge as to why teams win Super Bowls. Is it possible? Absolutely. But you know what? You know who beats a Micah Parsons every single time? An amazing quarterback. A Patrick Mahomes, a Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. If you had to pick between having an elite top-level quarterback or Micah Parsons, you'd pick the quarterback every single time. And the analogy that I used is that if Micah Parsons, and as amazing as he is already right now, if we were able to increase his skill and his talent by, say, 10 to 15%, would the Cowboys win a Super Bowl? No. If we increase Dak Prescott's skill set by 10 to 15%, could Dallas win a Super Bowl? To me, the answer is absolutely yes. Those end up being the differences. Now, of course, you want to have a Micah Parsons on your team. No one's disputing that. No one's saying, oh, you can just do with no defense. We don't need Micah. I'm not saying that at all. But if Micah's already potentially an issue from a cultural perspective, and he's going to take all of your money, and as Colin pointed out, we already have these situations of, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, all this, then I don't know. But Colin is also kind of talking out of both sides of his mouth. Because he's also said in the past how important it is to have, these guys on defense like this. That you need to have a quarterback, offensive line, and a pass rush. If you have those, secondary doesn't matter as much, safeties, cornerback, stuff like that. Of course, again, it's not to say that you just can't have no one or just complete scrubs, but that's not where the money should be spent, according to Colin. But now he's kind of saying the opposite, right? He's saying, what does Myles Garrett want? What does TJ Watt want? And it's valid, except that those organizations have also had completely subpar quarterbacks. And that's part of the issue, right? If the Steelers had, say, Josh Allen on their team, or even a Dak Prescott on their team, they would be much better. Same thing with the Browns. So you want to be able to make it work with Parsons, but if Parsons wants to be the highest paid and wants all of that money, I don't know if that's the way you want to build your team. If you knew Dak Prescott was truly elite and like a top 3, top 4, top 5 quarterback, then you could make the argument of saying, look what we are building here. But that's just tough. That is really tough. And so now if you do trade him and you do get 2 first rounds, you save that money. And I'm not so sure. Now, this would be a gamble. Absolutely. But you even get rid of Dak. You say, Dak, waive your no trade. You're not going to sign here. We're cleaning up shop. You would definitely be able to get also some nice picks for him. We're going to try to trade you to a team that you can actually start to win. We're not going to sign you. You're just going to walk away. At least you're going to play. Because in fact, we're so ready to lose right now, or we're going to move on to you. We're just going to bench you. Sure, you're going to get paid, but we're just going to straight up bench you. So waive your trade clause and we'll be able to trade you. So you at least actually get to play, which means you'll be able to make even more money. But otherwise, we're moving on from you. We're going to put Trey Lance in right now. Whatever. And then you fire McCarthy. And now what J-Mac said, and again, I'm not saying that these are all the best ideas. These are just some ideas. I'm not saying this is necessarily what I would do, but I don't think it's the worst idea. You have J-Mac, how J-Mac said, well, would this even be a desirable job? And it's like, potentially, you get rid of Dak, you're going to hire a new coach, you're going to be loaded with draft picks, You're ready to rebuild this team. It's not unlike how they were able to lure Harbaugh. The only difference is that the Chargers were able to get Harbaugh because they had especially Justin Herbert there. So they did have the quarterback locked and ready to go. But now they are trying to accrue as much draft picks as they can. So it is, of course, a gamble, especially when you don't have the quarterback. But this is the situation, though, that you try to find yourself in. And again, I don't know enough about the future draft of if we have some quarterbacks coming up in the next couple of years that we could say these guys are going to be legit. We just need to stockpile some picks and make sure that we are, in the position. But the reason why I'm more open to some of these more extreme aggressive moves is more because obviously what you have been doing has not been working. That's indisputable. In the last decade, you have not gotten any closer to an NFC championship game, let alone a Super Bowl appearance, let alone winning a Super Bowl. So I don't know what you think by giving Parsons all this money, giving Dak all this money. Like, I don't know why you're expecting to suddenly take a gigantic step forward. I don't see it. Now, you could maybe not, and again, you don't do any of this if you think, okay, I like our team. We just need to improve a little bit. We have some draft capital already. We're going to be able to hit the draft. We've always have had successful drafts. We can make this work. But my argument is that your team is not good enough, that your foundational pieces are clearly not good enough because Dak is a fringe quarterback between great and good, and that is just not good enough. You do need to have a cheap quarterback who's pretty good, or you need to have a transcendent elite quarterback. Dak is neither of those. He's not elite and he's not cheap. And so now you're just running into trouble. And we know that formula does not work. So if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, I'm not sure what you're expecting to work. So maybe you should be open to some of these more out of the box, more aggressive moves. The Eagles got rid of their second overall pick. Carson Wentz, paid him like $150 million, which at the time was as high as it gets. They won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles as their backup, but, make no mistake about it, Carson Wentz was 80% of that. He's the one that got them to the number one seed in the first place. And they got rid of him for a second round pick for Jalen Hurts, who at that point had not really showed much of anything, quite frankly. And within 2 years, they went to the Super Bowl. That's when aggressive pays off. We saw the Rams do this, trading their number one pick for an older, borderline past his prime Matthew Stafford. They won a Super Bowl. Being aggressive pays off in the NFL. Being aggressive pays off in any sport, quite honestly, and just in life in general, obviously within reason. So you have to ask yourself, if you're a Cowboys fan, are you okay with the status quo, or do you want some significant change? Because what you're doing right now does not work. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. Please let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. Thank you so much, and see you next time.